We are Group Crewmates, and this is our video presentation for asset decommissioning and disposal. So these are our members, and the content of our video presentations are as follows. The first content is the asset that we have selected. So the asset that we have selected to decommission is all computers. Computers fall under tangible assets. The computer parts we chose to dispose are CPUs and monitors. All CPUs are outdated and underpowered, therefore struggle to run programs on the computer smoothly. All monitors consume large floor space due to its size, so we think that this asset is best to be disposed. Secondly, we are required to understand the meaning of decommissioning of asset. In general, it simply means that the asset selected is removed from its operation. When trying to understand the meaning of decommissioning of asset, we need to consider three things. The first one is decommissioning plan. Decommissioning plan is a comprehensive planning that should be prepared by operator to display and document how decommissioning activities can be performed safely. Second is decommissioning regulation, which means the regulatory framework on decommissioning in Malaysia is fragmented and found within various statutes, such as the Environmental Quality Act 1974, Continental Shelf Act 1966, and Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994, etc. And thirdly, we need to consider decommissioning cost, which means that it determines how much it costs to decommission products or facilities.
Processes involved in asset decommissioning or disposal, abandonment, planning, execution, and strategy. Before an asset undergo decommissioning or disposal process, few conditions, planning, and execution method to be examined beforehand. This process usually planned a few years before the asset reach the end of its life. Decommissioning process need to be executed after the assets are verified as surplus to a person, company, or many more. For the selected item, which is computer, when the computer is assessed as an obsolete equipment in its life cycle, it should undergo proper process of decommissioning or disposal. Before proceed with the decommissioning process, abandonment planning should be executed first. This planning is an operation of withdrawal of rights to a chosen asset. The first step in this planning is the vital details of the plan is provided. Next is the legacy system and the target overview, the overview of the abandonment plan, the overview for hardware, software, data, and security abandonment, the impact to the interfaces, the test plan, the abandonment risk schedule, and resources description. This step should be executed first before proceed with the abandonment process. After the abandonment process, decommission or disposal process should be executed. The first step in this process is the archive overview. This archive overview should include software, documentation, hardware disposition, data, and security overview. Next is the decommissioning risk, then decommissioning schedule, then decommissioning resources, decommissioning process executed, and also after we executed this process, we need to do a post-decommissioning or disposal review.
Now, I am going to briefly present the rules and regulations involved in disposing all computers. As we all know, there are several options for us to choose on how to dispose an all asset. We can either sell, recycle, or dispose of the asset totally. In this project, we have focused on disposing the asset to an on-site facility. When disposing an asset to an on-site facility, there is a regulation that we must adhere to, and that is the Environmental Quality Scheduled Waste Regulations 2005. According to the guidelines for the classification of used electrical and electronic equipment in Malaysia, used electrical and electronic assemblies, or otherwise commonly known as e-waste, are categorized as scheduled waste under the code SW110. The guideline provides a list of characteristics of an e-waste, and the few relevant ones are shown in the slide. First, the equipment or components appears generally worn or damaged. Second, regular market for the used electrical and electronic equipment or components are absent. Next, used equipment or components are old, outdated, and destined for salvaging purpose. Lastly, the electrical and electronic equipment is at the end of its life. Basing off from the definition and the characteristics provided, it can be concluded that old computers are e-wastes. There are several on-site facilities for scheduled waste in Malaysia. However, we have an option to export the e-waste to other countries. However, before exporting out the e-waste, we must make sure that we are following the Basel Convention. Some of the things that are included in the convention are: 1. The e-waste is not exported for disposal purpose. Exportation can only be made for recycling or recovering. Second, the exportation is agreed by both the waste generator and the receiving facility. The waste generator in this case is the company. And third, receiving facility should have a better technology to process the e-waste compared to current practice in Malaysia. According to the convention, exportation is only for recycling and recovery purposes. Thus, disposal of e-waste must be done locally and in line with the Environmental Quality Scheduled Waste Regulations 2005. The requirements for disposal of e-waste are: first, notify the Director General of the category and quantity of the waste generated. Notification must be done within 30 days from the date of generation of the scheduled waste. Second, notification must include the information provided in the second schedule. Disposal of used computers is only to be done at prescribed premises. And lastly, the used computers to be disposed must be confirmed to be harmless and sanitized before the disposal. If the company wishes to apply for a special management, an application can be made to the Director General along with a 300 ringgit Malaysia application fee. And finally, it is the company's responsibility to make sure that the waste is packaged, labeled, and transported to the on-site facility safely.
Hi, my name is Darren, and I'm going to explain briefly about question 5, and that is how much the cost will be involved, if any. So we decided to use two situations for us to decide whether which one is the best for the company. The first situation is the assumption would be we have expected number of breakdowns. We have the total number of breakdown, which is 1,139 per month. The lifespan of the computers would be 5 years, and the depreciation values is 10%. And then we also assume the usage of computer for 6 hours per day, which is only weekdays, and that is only 2 ringgit and 93 per month. And then we also buy 80 computers for the big company, and it is 2,500 ringgit per computer. So this is the calculation. So the total number of costs of the computer is 200,000, and then after the depreciation, the disposal value would be 100,000. And then also when we dispose it, we also assume some expenditures such as labor, gas, transport, and labels, and the total cost for the disposal of the computer is 911 ringgit 15 cents. And then the profit of selling the computers would be this one. The total cost for this situation would be this one, which is 100,654 ringgit 15 cents. And then this is situation 2. The assumption would be the lifespan 4 years, and assume it to be no breakdowns at all, the same working hours, the same number of computers, and different depreciation value, which is 15%. And this is the calculation, which is pretty much the same. So the cost will be the same, 200,000, and then the depreciation value will be 30,000, and then after we minus all of it from the cost, the disposal value would be 80,000. And the same thing, labor cost, gas cost, transport cost, and labels cost, and it costs, the disposal cost would be 1,011 ringgit 15 cents. And then the profit of selling this computer in this situation is this much, and then the total cost of this situation would be 279,100 $129.49. And then based on these two situations, we choose situation 1 because it is lower cost compared to situation 2, and then most company would aim for the lower cost consumption on assets. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aloysius, and today I will be presenting the last topic of the day, which is how to manage risk during asset disposal. So according to the company's deviation, some of them have their own disposal policy to replace equipments. When disposing of old equipments, for example monitors and CPUs, there are several risks that may be taken into considerations so that to avoid any misconduct and law breaking. Okay, let me explain. So the first risk during asset disposal is a data breach, in which it is a security incident where information is accessed without authorization. Next is non-compliance with industry regulations. So this happens when there is an absence of a certified third-party vendor who can perform the IT asset disposition, and thus they will not have the proper record and certifications needed if audit is performed. And thirdly is environmental violation, and this is most likely to occur when the process is not done professionally or without adhering to the laws and standard given. That is all.